responded to or something like that. And I was just like, I'm going to go ahead on and respond to this. And it was about singing. I think it was either Tiny Desk or it was something to that nature, giving a concert. And he was like, hey, if you would like to feature your music and sing, be a part of this. And I was like, okay. So we spoke the first time and I gave him information and we had good conversation. And then he was like, well, I have to give you a call back and, we'll go from there. And I was like, okay. Nicholas, there's some feedback in there, so I'm not sure what's going on. But um, he was like, I have to give you a call back. And I was like, all right, cool. I called him back and we talked again. And this time he said, is it okay if I pray for you? And I was taken aback a little bit because I'm like, wait a minute, who are you to be asking me, do I want you to pray for me or something? But, and how do you know that at this minute, baby, I could use your prayers, right? So I was just like, I told him, I said, I don't really usually allow any and everybody to pray for me or with me, but I do discern and know that you know my father, that you have the right relationship with my father. So yes, I will, receive prayer. And so I think we had three conversations, and it was that third conversation that we spoke, and he said it again. And that conversation was so good. I'm like, Where do you fellowship?" And he told me. Now, what was so funny to that is I had just been there because someone else had invited me to that place of worship. And I was like, okay, you know what? I think I'm going to come back because if what you're doing is the atmosphere or environment of what's going on, then I'm going to go fellowship. Do you remember that, Nicholas?
Yeah, I remember actually. Yeah, I remember. And the thing is, the Holy Spirit just said, pray for her. And that happens to me from time to time when I'm talking with somebody, communicating with somebody, and he would just, lay it on my heart to pray for somebody. But then it's
Mm.
kind of like, ah, God, I don't really know the person just for me to ask to pray for him. That's kind of weird. But, God always know what he's doing. So that's what's up.
Absolutely. And I am so grateful that you were a vessel, that you allowed him to use you as a vessel, and that you were obedient and that you prayed with and for me, because that really was a heavy time for me. It was a time of, I'm going to say the beginning but almost the middle of transitioning for me. It was a time that God was removing a lot of things, places, people, thoughts, ideologies, unlearning church stuff and things of that nature. It was a lot of things that was going on to prepare me for the next level. And I always say this, that we hear that church is a hospital for the sick per se, right? And I look
Hmm.
at it like this, medically and spiritually. Sometimes when you are getting healed and well, it's best that you're in like not isolation like ICU, because that
Hmm.
place is more sterile or more clean than anywhere else where you can be susceptible to more sickness when you're just on the floor in a regular room, or even with a roommate in your hospital room. You know what I mean? So
Hmm.
that time of isolation was, in your prayers, was like medicine, to kind of still kind of like build me up in that time of transition and having things pruned and removed from me. You know what I mean? So thank you.
Yeah. Oh, no problem. You're welcome. And thanks for actually bringing it up because I forgot that had happened till you reminded me. So it's good to hear.
Yeah, absolutely. And it is good to know the impact that you make on people when you're not, and I'm gonna say it like this, when you're not purposefully, you're on purpose, but you're intentional, but it's not your whole end all to be all. It's not like you're out here going, oh my gosh, I'm this big prayer warrior. I'm gonna pray for everybody because it's gonna make me look like a super Christian, and I'm gonna just be looking, you know what I'm saying? Like, I want the
Yeah.
glory. It was just like, hey, just like you said, hey, I was just being obedient because I don't know, I don't just want to go pray for people I don't know. You know what I mean?
Hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And I know, some shows do bios and things of that nature. And I'm with it. I'm not saying that I'm totally against it or anything like that, but I like for the person, and I'm going to tell you why afterwards. I like for the person to kind of in conversation share how God is using them, what gifts and talents and what they're doing and how they're doing it. And I say that, I'm going to tell you why. Because I'm big on affirmations. I'm big on positively speaking about ourselves. And because society and the world has made us to believe that if we speak about the greatness of who we are, then we're being boisterous or we're being cocky or, you know what I'm saying? And it's not that. It's if you are a child of the king, why is it that you want to have peasant communication?
Yeah.
All right, so Nicholas, and you're a believer and filmmaker and artist and actor, and listen, listen, the musically inclined, uh, vocally, instrumentally, and then he's pouring it out to children, and that's what touches me too. We'll talk about that a little bit. Nicholas, tell him who you are. And I never even
Yeah.
asked you where you from.
All right, yeah, I'll do that. So my name is Nicholas Kayea, like Yippee Kayea. Um,
Yippee-ki-yay.
yeah, I turned 30 years old this past July. And so I just yeah, I feel like I'm a legit adult now. But my family's from Liberia, West Africa, but I was born here in Atlanta, Georgia. And I
Wow.
grew up in Gwinnett County, where I received a great education, lived in a very healthy household, and I was able to work and steward on, my gifts. I mean, you kind of told people, a few things that I do. I am a musician. I'm an artist. I write music. I've been writing music since I was 12 years old,
Wow.
and I started playing the guitar when I was 6. And
Wow.
as time progressed, I started to play in church, which really helped me to work on my musical ability and be able to freestyle and just kind of just feel music. I grew up in an African church, so not an African American church, so culturally it's a little bit different. Um, but yeah, so I did that. I was in band in middle school, and then in high school, I went to Shiloh High School, which I was under the direction of Mr. Craig Johnson, who was my chorus teacher, who did a very, very, very good job when it came to shaping my ability to improvise, my ability to harmonize really well, my ability to arrange music. And the thing is, a lot of people have not heard my full capability when it comes to the musical space. It's just
Mm.
been in a lot of different snippets. But just to kind of keep on going with that, in high school, that's where I really started to develop my love for music, and I started to have ownership
Oh,
of my music.
come
Yeah.
on, come on.
And
Mm-hmm.
so I remember being about 15, 16 years old. Nobody had to tell me to practice. Nobody had to tell me to, go right. I would spend hours in my room on Audacity, recording music and practicing harmony and doing covers and different things like that. And so my love for music really, really grew a lot in high school, to where I kind of started to teach myself how to play the piano a little bit, learning how to play a few chords here and there. But once I got to college, that's where I could kind of see my true and full gifting kind of mature a
Mm-hmm.
little bit.
Mm-hmm.
And so I went to University of West Georgia. First, I went there undecided, and then I ended up doing teaching for a little bit because my mom is a teacher, and I just thought that would be the best way to go. To think that was the most solid and most concrete. But then the Lord ministered to me and told me to switch my major to mass communications.
Mm-hmm.
And this was like halfway. Am I good to keep on talking? I know
Absolutely.
I'm
No, no,
okay,
no.
cool.
I love it because, again, I told you I wanted you to be able to share about you. I do want to say this, though, since you gave me a break. The fact, I mean, since there was a break,
Yeah, go ahead.
you said something that touched me so much, right? And here being 30, right? And then being 30 and that young, being a melanated man, and then a male in education pouring into other children. The fact of the matter was that you were poured into. You said something that really personified for me. You said I came from, it wasn't, you didn't say good, so I know I'm using a poor choice of word, but your background and your household was that of a positive one. And
Mm-hmm.
I think that that is very impactful on who you became as well. Now, you also said, again, your spiritual, what you grew up in the church and how you grew up a little bit different, or how you worshiped or how you celebrated was a little bit different. But what I wanted to say was that understanding your cultural background, it gave you a sense of community. It gave you a sense of understanding how
Mm-hmm.
important and how impactful it is for your community to step up and step in. And I see
Mm-hmm.
you doing that with the children, but I just wanted to make that known because you're a young man in this world where young men with your melon, um, you don't hear this part of the story too often. So that's why I allowed you to continue to elaborate, because you don't get this. You don't get this in the news. You don't get this in media. And so for
Yeah.
you to say what you said and to kind of share what your cultural community was and how it formulated you, I want to say this and let you go from there. What I heard from you was it taught you self assurance, but it also taught you, um, um, s- uh, the word is eluding me, but self discipline. That's what it was.
Yes.
Because
Yes.
nobody told you, but you had an environment that fostered, and it seems that you had an environment that fostered accountability. And so you were like, okay, there's people in the community that I can reach out to and talk to and feel supported in. So it makes me flourish all the more to do the things that I really believe that I'm gifted, talented, and called to
Mm-hmm.
do.
Yep. 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 That's true. So I will touch on that topic and then I'll jump back into college, so we
Hmm.
can get a full understanding or a more complete understanding.
Hmm.
But like you said, being able to be in a space to where um, I can do what I do in a healthy environment and be
Yeah.
able to grow with other people who are like-minded made a really big difference for me
Mm.
to even now what I'm building with the creative village, which I'll talk about, soon once we get there. But what I'm building with the creative village is because I experienced something like that to where my life had meaning and my life felt complete. And I remember going to school just waiting to be in chorus class, just waiting to be in
Wow.
Mrs. Johnson's class so I can be around my friends, so we can work on music, so we can harmonize, so we can show the different songs and things that we've been writing, or, just waiting to go to church so I can play in the band with my friends.
Wow.
Just because it was healthy and I was able to express myself. And when you're sometimes, and I kind of see this in Sky as well.
Hmm.
Um,
Sky
I
is
can,
my daughter, y'all. I just want y'all to know that I'm going
oh
to
yeah,
get connected with her. I mean, they're going to have to connect at some point. So go ahead.
yeah. And so I see the love that she has for music and the love she has for expression. Um, and a lot of children have this innate gifting that the Lord has given them, but the issue or problem is they may not have the right guide, teacher, or the right space for them to be able to learn how to do everything adequately with skill
And I want
and
to,
to tap on the gift. Go ahead.
no, I was going to say, because it's, I'm glad that you said that, because I didn't have that space. So you know that I
Hmm.
do sing, right?
Hmm.
And because I didn't have that community, because I didn't have that support, funny story, I got put out of choir. I got put out of chorus because I was acting
Hmm.
up. I was talking, but that was because even though I loved music, I loved singing, still do. I didn't have confidence. I didn't have the self assurance. I didn't have the community supporting me in that. I had them really speaking against it. Like, you just think you're going to go to Hollywood. You just think you're going to sing. You just think you're, and it was like, so I didn't have confidence in that, even though I wanted to be in the atmosphere of the choir and singing and things of that nature. I kind of pushed against it because I was scared to go forth with it because it wasn't something that was supported. Even though I kept writing as a child, I kept singing. Like every time I was either disciplined or anytime I had any free time, I was sitting there writing music. I was listening to tapes. Don't date me, I'm old. But I was listening to cassette tapes,
Hmm.
rewinding it, writing my own lyrics. You understand what I'm saying? Like
Yeah.
that's what I did. I really just, it was all things music for me. Even when I went to college, and of course, first thing I ran to, as an extra was college course. And I'm like, but I never had the community to support me in being confident in that. And people would hear me sing, Nicholas, and they were like, oh my God, you give me chills. And it wasn't probably until my late 30s that probably my late 30s, maybe yeah, about late 30s, that I actually began to have confidence in my own voice. Right? Because
Mm,
I didn't. I really didn't. Everyone else would say something, but I didn't. So for you to say that about Skylar, I really want to again thank you, because that's encouraging, that because of my experience that I did foster a support for her to feel
yeah,
comfortable to hone in on her gifts. Okay.
yeah. No, that's definitely beautiful. And then I'll say this, and I'll go back to college. And
Okay.
so, because I see that in Skylar or Sky, because I see that, I have an innate desire to make sure that her gifting reaches its full potential, right?
Mm,
So every time you post something on Facebook or show something, just a reminder, hey, bro, that's one of your kids. You got to make sure that she learns this, make sure she learns that.
wow.
So I'm just letting you know, and there's still something that I desire and want to do. Time just needs to, align for that
Yeah.
to happen.
Yeah.
But you're doing a good job, so keep up the good work.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. There
Yes,
you go,
ma'am.
encouraging. Okay. All right.
Yes, ma'am.
I
But
receive. All right. So you in college.
But going back to college, so like I said, I changed my major to mass communications, which ended up leading me to the place of film and video production because I wanted to be on screen. I wanted to do, I am an actor, but I wanted to be in front of the screen for acting. But West Georgia did not have any on-screen acting courses,
Mhm.
which I don't know why. Anyways, but that's another topic for another day. They didn't have that. And so what happened was I ended up learning how to do things behind the camera. So I learned how to edit. I learned how to, shoot film or video. I learned how to do lighting and all these different things, how to write a script from beginning all the way till end. And so what that was able to do was I wanted to just be in front of the camera, but God showed me how to be able to work everything from the beginning of, hey, I
Mm,
have an idea to, how do I write the script? How do I do that adequately? How
mm,
do I plan to shoot everything correctly so I can communicate with the cameraman? I can communicate with the sound person. I can communicate with the actors. And so it's to a place now to where I feel
mm.
more equipped to do projects and different things like that because I've learned how to do all these different facets of the
Mm.
filmmaking space.
You don't even
And
know
then
how much you preaching. I mean, you encouraging, you preaching. It just exudes you. I'm telling you, like, so just going here. Okay, sing, act, all those things. Never knew I was going to have a radio platform. Didn't know I was going to have a
mhm,
whole radio station. And I'm this is a station where I am very transparent, and I know that, you understand that transparency, right?
mhm,
And I'm just like, God, you gave me this, and I'm giving him back his stuff. I'm like, if you give me the purpose, then you're gonna make provision and blah. I don't know how to do this. And I'm like, I've never had a radio station. I've been on the radio, but I've never had a station. And every time I'm like, where's the support? Where's the help? I need, like, look, I'm talking, I need
mhm,
editing, I need this, and I would sit and cry while I was doing it because I'm like, I have nobody to do it. And I would
mhm,
sit and cry, but I realized after I stopped whining that it was like, I need to show you all facets of what's going on here. And then when
mhm,
I was disobedient by like, well, I'm going to just get this media person and I'm going to let them do, Nicholas, they actually stole my identity and all my content and redid my
Jesus.
whole, and I'm like, I didn't even get upset because I realized what was the purpose behind that. He was teaching me to know all things about this. You understand what I'm
Mhm,
saying? So you
yeah.
don't even know how, like, again, you're being used on purpose, not even, it's, yeah. And that's important because especially in this industry, you have to know really as much as you can about every facet so that you can be secure in what you're doing because we're a light in an industry that has a lot of darkness. So
That's
you
very
definitely
true.
want to continue to shine as much as you can. Okay.
That's very true. Very true. But yeah, so I had to take the time to learn all these different things. I also did a couple of stage plays, or musicals that I wrote and
Mm-hmm.
directed, and that gave me the space to be able to take the music that I was writing and
Yes.
put that in a story mode, and to be able to take the acting and the stories and put all those different things together. So I have, done a few things when it comes to the creative space, from, like I said, singing, writing songs, acting, learning how to film and edit, to stage plays and musicals. And so I have a lot of tools, I have a lot of giftings, I have a lot of anointed ideas and concepts that I'm in the space now to where I am walking these things out and wanting to produce and show in excellence. And as time has progressed over my life, I would say my 20s did a good job of showing me that it's not about me. And though I have talent, though I
Mm-hmm.
have a gifting, and though that I am anointed, everything is about God and His children, and being able to reflect Him the best way as possible.
Mm.
And so I have experienced a few things in my life when it comes to either me making the wrong decisions. And so since I made the wrong decisions, God kind of delayed
Oh.
um, what's the word? My, what's the word I'm looking for? I don't want to use the word progress, but me being known. Um, yeah,
Okay, I got you. I
yeah.
got you.
So
That
you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah,
Go
it's
ahead.
like in his preparation with, like you said, delaying and delaying it for a good cause because he
Yes.
wants to have the greater. And so putting you in position and place that you're purposed to be, you have to be the right person as well. So
Yep.
when we take a left when we were supposed to make a right, right? It never
hmm
stops the journey, but it just is a place that we have to kind of process and allow him to really minister to, that we can overcome that to get back to the right, because he'll never put a person in position that will be out of position. So I
Yes.
kind of understand that. I understand you to say that it
hmm
wasn't a delay out of I mean, it wasn't a delay so much as obedience, as it was, this is the place that we need to stay for a minute in order for you to get to the place I need you to be, whole and healed, so that
hmm
you can be what I need you to be for others.
Yep. So when I met you, when we were communicating, I was on my way back to the right. I was on my way back to, um, walking in a place where it's like you're a child of God, so you have to walk that fine line
Mm-hmm.
and be a leader. Because there's a difference between being a child of God and also somebody who is supposed to be a leader.
Absolutely.
Because if I'm going to be over, people's lives, if I'm going to be making sure that they're getting paid, if I'm going to be the one who is instilling into children and young adults and stuff like that, I have to be somebody who is, I don't want to use the word spotless or blameless, but I have to be pretty close to it
Mm-hmm.
in order to be a true effective leader. And so God wanted me to know that, the decisions that you make in private will affect you
Oh
publicly
my
if you
gosh.
do not correct what it is that you need to correct.
Mm-hmm.
And for me, it was just, I was smoking and doing different things like that. And so I ended up losing my voice. So I lost my
Wow.
voice for about 2 years. It was hard for me to talk. It hurt for me to, swallow. It hurt for me to do certain things. So I was on cough drops for a very long time.
Wow.
And so if you met me and my voice kind of sounded like super soft spoken and things like that, that was because I was on my healing journey.
Mm.
I'm just now getting to the place now to where I can use my voice and talk for a long time, sing and things like that, to where it's not negatively affecting me. And so
Wow.
the thing that I love to do the most had to be taken away from me
Whew.
because of a lack of obedience.
Ooh, 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 ooh. That right there is a Selah, a Amen, a Praise God, a sermonic selection, and a whole bunch of stuff right there. Because
hmm
I said this on several conversations, but it keeps bringing me back to this. And I say this to parents who may be grieving the loss of a child. I say this all the time, and I really mean this. And Nicholas, you just kind of hit that nail. I loved my son. I loved him so much. that when I asked God, why did he take him or allow him to now rest in peace? I said, God, I loved him. And he said, but I loved him more. And
Mm,
see, honestly, even down to that, when we're to pick up our cross and walk, honestly, that means we have to put everything behind us. That God is a jealous God and he won't have any gods before him. And I didn't even know indirectly, I kind of served my son.
mm,
He's my firstborn. He made me a mom. He gave me responsibility. He did, and I made sure, and it's like, whoa. And I'm not saying that this is the full reason, but I mean, some of the understanding when I had conversation about, my firstborn being laid to rest, it's like, sometimes, Renee, I have to take the very things that you love more than me so that you can really see me. And see, the
yeah.
enemy thought that he used that for bad. He figured, okay, lay her son to rest. She gonna lay to rest. He didn't understand who God created and made me to be. I'm relentless. Okay? You know what I'm saying? My name,
Hmm.
Renee, in itself means rebirth, reborn. You know what I'm saying? That just
Yeah.
gave me more power to actually now live out the promises and the life that God gave me instead of the life that I had chosen for myself.
Hmm. That's good.
Yeah, that part like that. And so I want to talk about what you're doing for the children, but I also want to talk about this because I want people to come and check out your podcast and come check out your
Oh,
your
thank
social
you.
media. Absolutely. This is what this is about, my brother. Um I really love what you're doing with your transparency in your podcast. And I'm gonna tell you, I didn't know you were just 30 years old. Like the wisdom that you have, right?
Oh,
The
wow.
insight that you have and the transparency and how you allow yourself to be just that on your podcast and allow your guests to be that as well. That's what we need because the word declares that people are won over by the words of our testimony in the blood of the
Hmm.
Lamb. So when you
Hmm.
allow yourself to speak the truth, to speak a truth, the truth, people are won over by that. They may never, ever, ever go into a building, but they'll tune into your podcast. They'll see you on social media. They'll listen to what you're saying with your guests and things of that nature. So, can
Yeah.
you share a little bit about that and how you
Yeah.
even got to that point?
Yeah. I can definitely do that. So again, thank you guys for tuning in. We really appreciate it, and we hope that this conversation is giving you life in
Yes.
some type of way. If you are liking what it is that I'm saying, or you're more interested in getting to know me a little bit more, I would highly encourage you guys to follow me on Instagram. My Instagram account is KAYEA KREATIVE. So that's Kaye Creative, but creative with the K. I got to give a shout out to my wife, Jordan Alexa, who helped me
I was going to
create
speak
that
that too,
name.
baby, because a love,
Yeah.
look, 30 years old, wonderfully married, beautiful wife. I love it. Mm-hmm.
I got to give her a shout out. So again, that's Kaye Creative, KAYEA KREATIVE. And so on my Instagram account, it will have a link to my YouTube channel, and you can also check out my podcast, which is called Respect My Genius. And Respect My Genius was actually formed. God told me to do Respect My Genius
Mm-hmm.
sometime like a year ago. Um, yeah, year and a half ago, but I was too nervous. I was too scared. I said, "Who want to hear about me? I ain't got nothing going on for anybody to
Mm-hmm.
truly hear about all the different things that I got." But the Spirit of God just kept on reminding me, like, you're valuable, you're important, and people need to be able to hear what it is that you need to bring to the world, or what it is that you brought into the world.
Mm-hmm.
And so, Respect My Genius is a podcast that does a few things. One, I get to share, my music, my thought process, and just different things that I've accumulated over the years, and I get to share that with you guys. But also, what I love about Respect My Genius so much is that I'm able to connect with other people who are geniuses in their own right,
Yeah.
whether that's in the creative field. I'm going to branch out to people who may be in the, medical space, in the technology space, in the cooking arena, all these different things. But the fact of the matter is, a lot of people, or there's a good amount of people God has blessed, and they are geniuses, they are anointed, they are smart, they are extremely talented, but we just may not know them because they're not
Oh,
in the industry, or because they're not being backed up by a lot of funding and all these different things. But I
Nicholas,
know
wait,
that.
wait,
Go
wait,
ahead,
wait,
go ahead.
wait, wait, because I gotta hit that, right? Um, he's taking that away anyway. because
Mm-hmm.
we have so heavily relied on the numbers and letters behind people names, the attachments and associations that people have in higher places or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
He's taken that away, and the changing of the guards took place around manifested about 2016, 17, where there was a shift and a changing of the guards in preparation for the first to be last and the last to be first. And
Mm-hmm.
so that's why what you have on your podcast, or because of your podcast, that's why it's so great. That's why DOD, Destiny Over Drama Radio, is so great,
Mm-hmm.
because the numbers may not look like a call letter radio station that everybody listens to that's popular, but what we're doing as the remnants are we're bringing the impact, the impression, the education, the empowerment, the impartation. We're bringing that for people who really want it. I equate it to underground music, right? We've
Yeah.
got mainstream music and everybody's bopping to it and this, that, and another. But when you get into underground, it's like, wait, this stuff is amazing. Why isn't it mainstream? Because
Mm-hmm.
sometimes, even like Jesus' parables, everything don't need to be exposed. You have to dig for it. You have to want it in order to get it. And that's one of the things, like I said, I really do like about your podcast and others, and, platforms like this. No, we may not be household names, but I tell people all the time, and this is old, but I tell people all the time, when I was feeling insignificant, when I first got licensed and ordained and all that stuff, and I didn't have a big
Mm-hmm.
platform, and I wasn't, as big as some of my counterparts and things of that nature, I was driving one day, and it's an old song, but I heard in my spirit, you don't have to be a star, baby, to be in my show. And from that point on, even with me being around celebrities who are known and things of that nature, I always remember that song, because I always say this when people go, oh, yeah, that star, that star. No, no, no. God created stars in the heavens and the earth. Now,
Mm-hmm.
if we're all celebrities, we just have to get to a point where we understand our celebrity. And this is a word that I'm making up, a celebrityisms in Christ. That's
Mm-hmm.
really what makes us the celebrity, when we understand who we are in Him.
Yes, that's good. That's great. That's great. No, I can agree with you. And the thing about that is, because God has anointed us to, to impact people and to love on people. And just because other people may not know, that doesn't diminish your light, that doesn't diminish your calling, and that doesn't diminish your assignment. The
Absolutely.
problem is that a lot of people, it is this thing of, man, once I get known, and I had this problem, but it's once I get known, then I'll be able to do this, or then I'll be able to talk and share and do that. But it's like, no, if God's called you to do it and He's placed it on your heart, and you're in the place to where you, let me find the right words. If God has called you to do it and it's on your heart, and He has given you the okay to go forward and go, then you need to go, and you need to go ahead and start building, because what you don't want to
Absolutely.
do is wait for too long for you to acquire something that may never happen. You may not be famous, or you may not be somebody that um, gets to a certain level, and then you can start praising God, or then you can start impacting people. The important thing is that you are impacting that one person. You hear people
Absolutely.
say this all the time, and sometimes it can kind of get cliche, but no, that one person's life is important.
It
And
is.
so this
The
goes to
shepherd
this
left
goes
the
to the
99 for the
for the
one.
one.
I
That's
wrote a
true.
poem. Even if God, if I perform and you're the only one, you're the best audience, I will perform in front of an audience of one. I don't even
Hmm.
need a stage. And on the contrary, where you were saying, God, make me that person, or I want to be that person, I was in the background, Nicholas, going, I don't want to be the person. I'm good. I'm all right back here. But everywhere or every time, I would always be put to the front. I would always be known. And I'm going, but I just want to be in the background. I had to say yes. Even though I desired my walk and will with Him, I had to say yes even to the call and the purpose, because I just wanted to be in the background, Nicholas.
Mm.
Yeah, yeah. So,
Wow.
yeah. You know what I mean? So the whole
Yeah.
purpose to that, though, really, is just saying yes to who you're supposed to be, and
Hmm.
allowing God to navigate that journey, right?
Yep.
That's it.
Yep.
That's it. All right,
That's
let's
very important.
very.
And so let me keep on going for a
Okay, okay,
second.
okay.
And then when you say yes, the thing is, God wants you to say yes and go ahead and start moving. Once you do that, then you start seeing the fruits.
Mm-hmm.
Then you start seeing things connecting. Once I finally started the podcast, then I started getting guests. This person interested, that person interested, but then other people started to be able to hear what it is that I bring to the table. Other people starting to hear the wisdom that God has given me, but that
Mm-hmm.
God also started to give me articulation. He started to give me words. He started to give me messages. I remember saying, well, God, if I do a podcast, what I'm going to talk about? Once I
Mm,
started, he started giving me the things to talk about. Once I started, he started bringing people to come and share and for people to start spreading a bunch of wisdom. And so
mm.
I'll say this, the way that the Creative Village came about, and for those of you guys that don't know what the Creative Village is, it is creative with a K, so Kreative, and then village. The way that came about is I remember being in a place to where I was like, all right, once I start to accrue some type of notoriety, some type of fame or whatever, then I will start a program to where I can impact the youth and train up individuals for to take over the industry because that's what I'm doing. Um,
Okay.
once that happens, then that will start. But then the Lord was like, so if that takes 10 years, what about the 10 years of lives that you could have been impacting over that time
Ooh.
that you're just going to not impact them because you're not where you want to be on your, career and your journey? And that convicted me so much. And the
Mm.
thing is, because I started doing what I'm doing, I have impacted, you know, I would say at least 50 children thus far that I have impacted with the music and different things like that. But I have some kids that are in my life right now that I don't know what I would do if I never met them.
Wow.
And it's like, God, I thank you so much that I took that leap and I took that faith to say, you know what, I'm gonna put me to the side for a little bit and I'm
Yes.
gonna start instilling wisdom into these children. I'm gonna start mentoring them. I'm about to start teaching them all the different things that I know when it comes to not just being an artist, not just being a musician, not just being an actor, but how to be a good person, how to
And
be a child of God.
that's operating in purpose, and it gives you a purpose. When you operate
Hmm.
in purpose, it gives you purpose. Like and correct me if I'm wrong. I believe you wake up looking ready to impart and impact into the children. It's a
Hmm.
purpose. It gives you something to wake up for every day.
Yep, that's true. That's very true.
Mm-hmm.
And so I have, students that I've been teaching for the past 3 to 4 years. I have students that were afraid to sing in front of people, and now, they're performing on big stages. We just performed at the
Wow.
Atlanta Hawks basketball game for the second time this past March. We performed a song called Love Culture by the Creative Village. And so that is
Wow.
out on all streaming platforms. So if anybody wants to check out that record, it's
Well, you
called
got to put it
Love
on this
Culture.
platform too, though, Nicholas. You've got to put it on here. I want your music. I want people this in your segment. I just want all your music.
How do I do that? What do I gotta do?
Oh, just send it in. We're gonna talk afterwards. That's the conversation after the conversation. I'm gonna tell you how,
Okay.
how to
All
send
right,
it.
that sounds good.
Absolutely.
That's good. I'm excited about that. But yeah, so we put music out. We have a song called Love Culture. We also put out a record called TikTok. TikTok is it's a holiday record.
Hmm.
But it basically says tick tock, tick tock, there goes the clock. Another year has gone by. Tick tock, there goes the clock. Look again, it's Christmas time. And then when we look into the verse, I'm just going to share a little bit about it, but it
Okay.
says, how did you do this year? What can you say? Did you get better? Conquered any fears? Make no mistake, everything matters. I know you shed some tears. You'll understand more in time. First a day, then a week, then a month, then a year. For you know where we're all singing Christmas is here. Time. Every day on this earth is a blessing to have. One thing in this life we will never get back. Time. And so the music that I'm teaching and the songs that I am imparting into the youth, it's just things of wisdom, it's things of knowledge, it's things that once you get a little bit older and you start thinking about the
Yeah.
different songs, the thing that I'm teaching, you start listening to these words, you're like, you know what? Wow, this is deep. This has some substance in it. And I always have to go back to my chorus teacher in high school. Like Mr. Johnson did a great job of teaching us music that really still impacts our souls today. We sang gospel music, we sang covers, we sang things of inspiration. And what he did was he taught us that what you create and what you sing has power. And so you
Yes.
need to be able to do things that is going to fulfill the
Impact.
soul and
Absolutely.
it's going to impact people, you
Yeah.
know. So I give a lot of credit to my chorus teacher because he did a lot for me.
And I really like when you said TikTok, I'm gonna be totally honest with you. I thought it was gonna have something to do with social media. So
Hmm.
I'm really feeling that because as many of our young folk are, glued to TikTok, this is a good reference or a good I know there's a better word because it's not really reference, but um having them look at what they do even on TikTok from a different
Yeah.
perspective.
Yeah.
So that was very what is it, like a play on the word or
Hmm.
whatever, but giving them something they need from something that they don't need. You know what I mean? So that
Exactly.
message from TikTok, we got to have that one.
Hmm.
I'm really grateful that we actually got a time to connect. Where, like I said, we're gonna have conversation on top of conversation because I'm in the midst of uh looking to film my pilot, and I want to run it by you because I
Okay.
don't mind the input. It's a sitcom, right?
Oh,
And
good.
yeah, about my life though. It's about a therapist in therapy. So
Mm.
okay. So I'm like, and it's my real life story, but it's a topical sitcom in that every episode pretty much has some situation or circumstance that we need to deal with and look at, right? And some hard things that people may not be able to talk about, but that one of the things I do through my therapeutic services is I help people laugh their way to healing. So if you're
Mm.
talking about sexual abuse or gun violence or spirits of rejection and things of that nature, those don't have to be so heavy, but we're definitely going to talk about them, just like your TikTok song. You understand what I'm saying? It's like, let's talk about the heavy things, but let's be able to laugh too, because laughter is good for the soul.
Yeah.
So I do want to have some more conversation with you, but I'm just so glad that you were able to grace our station this morning. I know that people are going to receive from here. One, because I already pray and to make a difference. I already know that God has used me to make a difference. I've now connected this morning to yet another person who makes a difference on purpose, intentionally, in purpose for the kingdom. So this here show will be yet another amazing way to empower all those who are tuned in, right? And so, with having said that, y'all stay tuned for the fact of the matter and more good music here on D.O.D. Radio Network, where this is the station for your best self, your best life, because it's best radio. That part and say that.